Hey folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Crowd Health. Listen up. I know from personal experience that the American healthcare system sucks. Health insurance in this country is terrible. More than half of Americans are on a high deductible health insurance plan, on the hook for thousands of dollars of deductibles, copays, and sky-high premiums. Basically, they need health insurance, but just for the worst case scenarios, you're paralyzed in a car accident kind of thing, not like actual day-to-day health care, and that's what you want. It's like being stuck with an outdated cable TV plan and not knowing about Netflix. Now we are introducing Crowd Health. It isn't health care, it's a better way to pay medical expenses. Crowd Health is a community of people who are tired of paying for a broken system. It's a place where you can get a simple, flexible, and affordable way to pay for your health care. Being in the Crowd Health community can save hundreds of dollars monthly and put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. It's flexible. Membership is a monthly subscription. You can start or stop when it's convenient for you. There's simple and transparent pricing, customized to fit your needs. They lower your monthly healthcare costs, and you can see any doctor you want. Using the app, you can find nearly any doctor in the country ranked from 1-star to 5-star. You can scan bills and then throw them away. Crowd Health takes it all from there, and you can press one button to receive virtual care anytime, anywhere through your smartphone. There's a community of health-conscious members who want to get and stay healthy in return for lower prices. So Crowd Health gets rid of the insurance middleman and passes the savings along to its members. 100% of your monthly membership pays for actual healthcare costs, helping the whole Crowd Health community stay healthy while keeping more money in your pocket. Crowd Health is able to offer amazing prices because of its community of health-conscious members. But for a limited time, my listeners will get their first month free, and after you've been a member, Crowd Health will include a fitness wearable. That's 30 days to try risk-free plus the fitness wearable. Just go to joincrowdhealth.com/fit and enter code TIRE at sign up. That's joincrowdhealth.com/fit and use promo code TIRE. Crowd Health is not health insurance. It's a community-powered alternative. Terms and conditions may apply. joincrowdhealth.com/fit. We are also brought to you by DraftKings. Listen, racing fans, DraftKings Sportsbook has a formula racing no-brainer that's bound to put you in victory lane. New customers can bet just $1 on this Sunday's Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, and win $100 in free bets if any driver finishes a lap. When was the last time you saw where all 20 drivers didn't loop the track at least once? It happens, but it's rare. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can get in on the action with DraftKings free-to-play pools. All customers get a free shot at $5,000 in total prizes. Just answer a handful of questions about what you think will happen during the race and follow along to track your results. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TIRE and bet just $1 on this Sunday's Formula One Grand Prix and win $100 in free bets if any driver finishes a lap. That's promo code TIRE for this no-brainer at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania. Only new customers only. Minimum $5 deposit for free bet promotion. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. You have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. You got all that? Good. How about Babbel? Global economy, folks. When you're traveling to a destination and you don't know the language, it can be challenging to accomplish even the simplest of tasks. I have really been there. I've tried to sign language my way through places. I've tried the old just speak English slower That's not a good method. That method doesn't work very well at all. I've tried getting drunk. That actually does work a little bit. You can pick up some booze-related conversation. At least you think you can, and then the next morning you're like, I don't know what I was even saying to that guy. Thankfully, there's Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app. Through Babbel's bite-sized lessons, you can learn new language skills that you can actually use in the real world. From greetings, menus, and directions to gaining a deeper understanding of the culture, Babbel is a travel essential. I've always wanted to learn French so I can order the finest foods and wines. I've never seemed to find the time. But thanks to Babbel's easy and fast-to-use lessons, I am able to accomplish this goal, and I'll be drinking Bordeaux in no time. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and your accent. There's so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes in the language of your choice. Start your language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use promo code TIRE. That's BABBEL.com, code TIRE. BABBEL.com, code TIRE. Babbel, language for life. Lastly, this is an important one, folks. It's the Blackvue DR750X 2-channel LTE. That's a lot of letters. It's almost a BMW crossover. That's how many letters it is there. Have you ever worried about your car when you leave it for valet parking, when you bring it to service, to a dealer? How about parked on the street? That's why you need the Blackvue Dash Cam. This thing is awesome. It's a slick-looking unit giving you peace of mind that your car, day or night, is always protected. The dual-channel Blackvue Dash Cam comes with both front and rear cameras. You can enjoy clear image quality day and night thanks to the full HD Sony Starvis image sensors at a wide 139-degree view angle. Blackvue's newest LTE dash cam is really what you need if you're considering a cloud-connected dash cam. The newest edition of the Blackvue lineup is connected by design with a built-in nano SIM card reader. The dash cam comes free with the Blackvue app, which allows you to connect to your dash cam directly or over the cloud, get impact notifications, download videos to your mobile device, watch live view, and more. But that's not all. Blackvue's new mobile hotspot function lets you turn your LTE dash cam into a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices on the go. That's cool. I love that. Dual purpose, right? It's protecting your car, protecting you from what's going on inside your car if you got that kind of craziness, or if you've got kids, if you've got friends, if you've got a film crew you got to cruise around with, it turns the dash cam into a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices. You can pair your cloud-connected dash cam with parking mode accessory for peace of mind when you're away from the car, and Blackvue automatically switches to parking mode to monitor your parked vehicle. Thanks to the video buffer, the few seconds leading to a triggering event is also recorded. When paired with Blackvue Cloud, parking mode lets your dash cam save event videos to the cloud in real time, just as they happen. So go to blackvue.com, that's BLACKVUE, blackvue.com/TST, and use promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackvue dash cam, plus free shipping for orders over $200. And if you're buying a dash cam, pretty much all order is over $200. So free shipping, blackvue.com/TST, and use promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackvue dash cam. Free shipping on orders over $200. That is the ads. Those are the ads. All right, folks, on today's episode of the show, Zach and I are in the studio. We have spent a rainy morning driving the Aston Martin V8 Vantage F1 edition. I spent the weekend learning what it's like to be Tom Segura in Seattle as I joined him on tour, checking out his shows and spending some recreational time with the man, along with, of course, my beautiful wife. And we answer your questions. There are lots of them. and I have just received both the Mach-E GT, which I'm very excited for, and the Harley Livewire motorcycle. It is a glut of press cars this week on the Smoking Tire Podcast. There it is. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hope y'all are chilling out there. Zach and I had an early morning. It was cold. It was raining.
Yeah.
It's not something we're used to. I was not prepared.
You were not prepared.
I was not prepared. Because, I just didn't look up. There isn't really a good way to look up the weather on the canyon, in the canyon. You can look up the Mount Wilson Observatory, but that's a little too high up.
Right.
And too cold. And then there's the bottom of the hill, which is not the same as where we shoot.
We're in the middle.
Yeah. So it was it's 60. But then when we got up there, it was really 47 and raining. And I did not have an appropriate jacket.
No, you just stood there and said, I did not prepare.
Yes.
You said it multiple times.
I did not prepare. I did not prepare at all. It was not good. It was not a good thing. But
very fitting, though, for a British car.
British car, British weather.
Right.
It was, we had the Aston V8 Vantage F1 edition, which makes me a little bit to say F1 edition, because I'm just kind of, when something is called, when you use the word edition, you know what I mean? It just, something about it makes me go, ugh.
Is that because it's a marketing thing?
Yep.
Regardless of what company does
100%.
it, right?
Yeah, not specifically for Aston.
Yeah.
It's even worse when someone has a custom car built, a one-off, and there's this rich guy down in Orange County named Manny, who's just a fucking rich guy and buys all these Bugattis and Paganis and shit, like rich guys do. And, because it's not enough to be a rich guy, he also then wants to be a content creator because the ego needs feeding. And he's obsessed with Hermes. And so he had Hermes do the interior of his McLaren Speedtail.
Wow.
Which is something that rich people could do.
Right.
My Aston Martin, which came from Ralph Lauren, has purple label leather in it. But because Ralph is a man of taste, he didn't go around going, it's the Ralph Lauren edition. It just has the fucking leather in it, and that's it. Then he goes about his business. But this dude down in Orange County, it's the Hermes edition, which it's not, because it's not something you can buy. It's just he did that because he has more money.
Right. The edition, well, I guess.
It's not an edition. It's just you just did it.
Pagani would do that thing where you could get your, there were certain cars they made that had initials on them.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was the person who had it
Yeah.
built.
But that's not
the
the Dave Smith edition.
Yeah.
It's just and by the way, this rich guy, man, he can do what the fuck he wants with his money. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying how it makes me feel. It makes me feel cringy to see them do that. It also makes me feel incredibly cringy to see any person that's that rich that then decides they need to be a content creator when the content is about them.
Well, because you can't buy notoriety and attention.
True. That's a good point.
But, so you've already reached a certain level of success, high level of
Rob
success.
Ferretti talks about this a lot too. Yeah, it's if you're making videos to earn a living, and the videos are about things that are outside of yourself, that's one thing. But if you're already that rich, and you decide to make videos about your richness, it's just stop.
Yeah, I mean, whatever chemical is that drove some people to become very wealthy, it's interesting when they overlap with. They also want attention and validation from the outside world,
right?
And this is a way to get it.
For being wealthy,
or just they want more attention.
Yeah,
they earned a lot of money to fill a hole, and now they're filling the hole with attention. And then after that, I don't know.
Yeah,
and then this is why Will Smith, in a recent interview, he said he went and did ayahuasca 12 times at age 50 because he got super rich and super famous, and he was like,
"That's not enough.
Is this really what I want to be and do and all that stuff?" And he wanted,
I'd like to read
reset.
that interview.
Yeah,
did it work?
It was in GQ.
Oh.
He did that, and he traveled for a year by himself with no security. That must have been interesting for a while.
Yeah, I forgot.
Trying to reconnect with the humans.
Yeah, learn what it's like to be a human.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if you went to places
that
that didn't have a ton of media, that would probably be a lot easier. Because he's global famous.
Yeah.
But Mongolia,
also,
probably a little bit
pandemic, where you get yourself a good mask.
That's true.
That would help a lot.
Very true.
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
To go back to the car, though, just the use of addition makes me cringe. That being said, they did a lot of nice things to the car, functional upgrades, as it were. They refined the suspension a bit, so it's a little less bouncy. They gave it some more power, which you don't really notice, if I'm honest, but it does sound angry, and that's fun.
It sounds very good.
Yeah.
Inside and outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice quality sounding automobile. They gave it some downforce, which you won't notice at any speed less than a very fast racetrack.
Yeah.
And what else do they do? Revise the Gearbox software. That's good. The Gearbox software is pretty good.
They changed a steering bushing a little bit, and they added a damper actually against the transmission laterally, so it like keeps the transmission in place. Like the whole thing, they basically made it a little bit stiffer,
yeah,
but not too much. It definitely didn't feel like crashy around the city streets and stuff like that.
No, it was okay. Yeah, considering it was stiffer, and our complaint with the standard car was that it was kind of bouncy and unrefined. Usually if you take that and make it stiffer, you go, oh, God, this is not going to be good.
Right.
But they managed to refine it a little bit as well. You know, it's a nice car. And the way they've tweaked the styling a little bit, the different grille is not, you know, as offensive as that initial grille that they put out there. And it's got sort of a stripe package on it that I actually kind of like.
Yeah, it's cool.
The stripe package isn't bad.
Because it's really thin, like that thin center stripe with the matte white around it. It looks good.
It's not bad. But it's still chasing the AMG GTC for me and the GTR, which I think, considering those two cars use the same engine, you know, they're close enough to the same experience that I am very aware of how much I like one more than the other one. But I think it's getting there. It looks good in that one. In the, what's that, Car and Driver? The Car and Driver one has a gray, a matte gray one with a lighter gray stripe on it. That looks very good. The white looks good too.
Yeah,
the white is good. Yeah. But it's just for the same money, I think I'm still going with the AMG, you know? Or a 911 or a 911 GTS, honestly. 911 GTS is more refined, rides better, turns in the same, doesn't need the big wing in the back, which blocks your view.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with how much stuff that thing holds in the trunk.
The trunk's good.
Good
it's
trunk.
Kind of almost a hatch trunk.
It is a hatch.
And it's got like
almost a hatch.
I guess it is a hatch.
The window goes up.
Yeah, and it's got like two trunks. It's got that divider, and there's the upper level and the lower
trunk.
Yeah, there's the skybox, and there's the regular seat.
Right.
But it actually holds. I mean, we had two big backpacks, the Pelican case, and then like my
your
dog
doggy
hammock
bed
thing. So basically 3 backpacks.
It's pretty spacious for what it is. Yeah, and it does have a lot of leg room. It's not for a small car. It's good for tall people.
Yeah.
You got plenty of leg room, plenty of head room, plenty of shoulder room. It's tough to find a small car that's good for a tall person.
It feels more spacious inside than the last AMG GTR I was in. Mm-hmm. That could just be a packaging thing or like the way the dashboard's built and designed. Yeah. But it did feel really spacious.
It's more spacious than like a Corvette, the C8,
C8
Corvette.
Definitely.
C8 Corvettes are a little on the cramped side.
That's like being in a kayak.
They're a little cramped.
Especially with that little center wall.
Yeah. So it's, practical enough. The automatic gearbox has a very aggressive creep to it, meaning if you just put it in drive and lift your foot off the brake, it's I don't want to. I will use the word lurch. It goes forward a lot,
like immediately,
and fast.
Yeah.
Like it's not as pronounced as a Hellcat, which has the most aggressive creep I've ever used in a car. But it's that type of creep makes it feel less exotic than a dual clutch, than the way a dual clutch gearbox engages. That's like when you drive a bunch of different cars, you notice those types of things, and an automatic idle creep feels pedestrian.
It's just ready to go. It's ready to go. It's the F1 edition. It's ready to get out there, drop that flag, hit the green light. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It moves forward at like 3 miles an hour instantly. It goes from 0 to like, but stay on the brakes and you're fine.
Well, no, obviously, but to me, that's the difference between a lot of the more exotic cars, where they'll hold until you tap the gas, or you can feel the gearbox engage to make it go a little bit, and this doesn't do it. It's like, oh, it's an auto.
I wonder if in the future they'll have a programmable creep the way they do with electric cars, like because the brakes are all electronically activated now, so you can just hit a toggle switch that's like, well, I want to stay still when I lift off the gas.
Oh, they have that.
I tap the gas.
Cars have that. The hold mode. Cars have that.
Yeah, gas cars or electric cars? Oh,
yeah.
I've been in cars with hill hold mode.
No. There's some I'm trying to think what I drove recently, where if you come to a stop and then press the brake pedal really hard, a little light will come up that says hold.
Oh,
and it'll hold the car until you
cool.
tap the gas, and then it will release.
Oh, smart.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, then it's happening.
They have it. Yeah.
All right.
The future is now.
In the past.
The future is indeed now. But it is a good evolution of this car. They're slowly working their way towards it being a very nice product.
Yeah, the first one I drove in 2016, I remember it just being, good GT car, but like it didn't feel as fast as the advertised power, and it was far too quiet. Even during the drive-bys, the guys filming it, they were like, "Are you?"
Well, when it was launched, when it first launched, there was no sport exhaust.
There's no sport exhaust.
And then remember, I got one and was really, really hard on it in the review. And then they sent me another one. They were like, no, that was not a good one. Here's another one. And the second one they sent me had the sport exhaust on it, and it was better. And then they sent me the Roadster, and that was even better. The Roadster was nice.
That was nice,
especially because it had a lighter colored interior, which made it feel way less like a cave.
Yeah.
When the interior is like all black, it's like real cavey in there.
And I think that's true of any car. Last week I drove all the 718s.
Oh, yeah.
And driving the 25th anniversary edition of Boxer with that awesome red interior, it feels like it's a much more expensive car than it is. And then I immediately jumped into the GTS 4.0, which was close in price. Or the Spider, that was the exact same price as the 25th. And everything's black.
Yeah.
And it just feels less expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black is I get why you'd want a black interior, but some color is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's a lack of emotion going on inside when it's just black.
Especially in a luxury car, like peanut butter colored leather, that's good.
Brown really makes an interior look expensive.
Yeah.
It's nice. And especially because this is like the more sporting version of the Vantage, but it doesn't quite feel like a track dedicated toy the way a GT3 RS does, or even GT3 does, or like the 620R, because the seats are just GT seats. So put a splash of color on the inside, and it'd be.
Remember when Aston Martin did the sneaker interior? That was the shit.
Is that two-tone?
It looked like a fucking Jordan. It was like
the
sweatshirt. It was in the V12 Vantage S with the 7-speed manual from a couple years ago, from 2015 maybe. And it was it had sweatshirt material. It was awesome. It was, we need to get some more photos. The lighter color, where's the sneaker interior? If you type sneaker interior, I bet you fucking get it. It looked like a shoe.
Like this one?
No, it was a lighter color. It was like the press car interior. Man. No, that's not it. I don't know. Right. If you go back and look at my video of the car, of the white car, it had that interior. Oh, there's the screenshot from our video. It's that V12 Vantage S manual with the fucking. See if I got a shot of it. We'll get what do you call it? DMCA'd, because it's video there. That's it. This interior fucking ruled. See the sweatshirt material on the dash? It looked like a fucking sneaker, gray and orange.
Oh, gray and orange. Is that all Alcantara mixed with sweatshirt cotton, or is it just it looks like sweatshirt?
I think there was sweatshirt material in it, a higher end sweatshirt material.
Because this thing, the car we had today had a lot of Alcantara in it, but most Alcantara is the same gray.
Yeah. So this is the previous generation of the car, so the interior was totally different. And man, now that I look at it, it looks fucking classy. by comparison.
I love the center stack in this generation of car.
Yeah.
I think it's like I think that is
great.
so good.
Man, did they fucking go downhill from that, huh?
They did.
With those big metal knobs.
It's just metal knobs
great.
and then these like flush buttons, which I heard some people said were hard to read, but who cares because it looks good.
They looked awesome.
And the new interior, the buttons are all like individually labeled in spring action, but it's just a sea of buttons to me. They all look the same.
And all the indicators are the same color. It's tough to differentiate. Yeah. That interior fucking ruled.
That's a
that
good
car.
one.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So that video is coming out, and the Boxster 25th anniversary that Zach just mentioned. If you're not a Patreon member, by the time you've heard this podcast, that video will be up, right?
I think it's going up Wednesday. Yeah,
or Wednesday. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, by the time you hear this podcast, that video will be up. That car was great.
Yeah, it was.
Boxster 25th
really was.
So nice to drive, so easy to use, fucking luxurious, comfortable,
I think
very
that's
fast.
One of the best values at that price point for $100,000.
Yeah,
like
those wheels were awesome.
Really good. It's a really good all-around car.
Yeah,
I mean,
I really enjoyed my week with that car. It was awesome. It was so good. I got it twice.
Yeah, that's true. And then I went and drove it again.
I got it. I had it for 6 days. I was going to film on the 7th day, and then it had a mechanical, and they took it. And because it was a German spec one, they just sent it back to Germany. We never saw it again. Don't know what happened. I don't even know what was wrong with it. Like they just were like, oh yeah, well, we'll take it, and then it was gone, just fucking vanished. And then we waited, I don't know, several months, 3-4 months, and they sent us the U.S. spec one, which Zach and I drove down in Temecula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike the DeLorean, world's fastest DeLorean video, we actually did find a good road to drive on. We spent a little more time looking because we had spare. It wasn't dependent on a third party's time. You know,
that DeLorean was so damn cool. I know that was like 3 weeks ago, but holy shit,
it was really fucking cool. Yeah,
sounded amazing, so fast.
That video's up. The world's fastest DeLorean, twin turbo Kia Stinger engine in the back, and some really, really creative unshitboxing.
Yeah,
was done there. That fucking car ruled. It's on Hoonigan this week against the Halo Warthog.
So watch our video first, and then go watch that one.
Yes, definitely watch our video first. Update on my brother-in-law, John. He's out of the hospital. He was released.
You really? Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
He's out of the hospital.
Sweet.
He's officially in remission. No disease present. A lot of folks went to bethematch.com, which I was talking about, and I'll talk about it briefly again. Brother-in-law John, who did all the acoustic paneling here in our studio. That's like the least cool thing he's done in his life, but that's how our fans might relate to him, is by he made all this shit. Had leukemia, and Hannah, my wife, had to give him a stem cell transplant, and the way they do that is not by drilling your bones. In order to test your match, if you're a match with someone, it's just a cheek swab. Very fucking quick, 2 seconds, cheek swab. And then the actual donation process is done purely with a blood draw. They give you some medication so that your body makes extra stem cells, and then they hook you up to an IV, and you give the blood. That is it. There's no drilling of the bones.
And signing up is so easy that when you talked about it on the last show, I signed up for it while we were on the show, and it didn't even break our stride.
Yeah, there's an age limit of 40, as we just learned, because a bunch of folks said they went to go try it out and they were over 40 and they couldn't do it. So if you're between 18 and 40, if you go to bethematch.com, you can sign up to be a donor, and it's like, if you asked me to be a donor for bone marrow using what I knew about bone marrow 10 months ago, I'd have been like, you're not drilling my bones. Fuck that. No way. That sounds awful. But that's not what they do. They don't drill your bones. They don't do that anymore. All you have to do, it's one needle. It's like as non-invasive as a medical procedure could be.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing that you do when you go and get like a physical and they do a blood draw for tests, right?
It's the same shit. It's exactly the same. And so he had a record stay in that hospital. He was the longest cancer patient ever in that hospital.
Jeez.
Except for terminal hospice type things. He was in that hospital for 87 days, which is, and when you have no immune system because they blasted your body with chemo and radiate, you can't go outside. He didn't go outside for 2.5 months. Like that shit fucking gets to you.
Yeah.
So he's out now, and because he's got to be like close by. He's in like an apartment that's like a corporate apartment, kind of like a mile from the hospital, but he's like not in the hospital, and he's got as of today no disease present, and 100% of his bone marrow DNA is Hannah's.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
like
amazing.
He has Hannah's immune system. He has acquired her immune system. Isn't that wild?
Science is incredible.
Science is fucking
It really
crazy.
is.
Yeah, it's so
That's
crazy.
incredible.
So thank you to a lot of folks sent nice, kind letters and words. And a lot of people said that they went to bethematch.com and signed up for the registry. I did. Zach did. A lot of people that I know did. And a lot more of you guys sent me the screenshots saying that you had done it, and a bunch more said that they tried and they were too old, and that's okay. We appreciate you even trying. So it's good news. I want to talk about being Tom Segura for a weekend, what that's like, because
that's like the coolest trip ever.
That was a pretty cool trip. Tom is a really, really solid human being. He just is a solid human being. And, you know, when he goes on these big tours, he's on the I'm Coming Everywhere tour. And he has dates fucking all over. He really is coming everywhere. And so he invited Hannah and I to come to Seattle, check out his gig, and hang out. And that's what we did. We had we went to the Paramount Theater on Friday night. We got into town. He was doing 2 shows. And so hung out in the green room before the show. Drank some wine. Tom doesn't drink before the shows. Mm-hmm. He's fucking real precise about that. Other comics like to get a little loosey, not him. So I drank a bottle of red wine in the green room before the show, and then we got tickets. So we went out into the audience, watched the show. This dude Jeff Tate was opening. Funny fucking guy. Follow him on Instagram, GEOFF.
Was he a Seattle local, or is he?
No, he's
touring with Tom.
He was touring with Tom.
Cool.
He's definitely going to come visit us when he comes to Los Angeles. His act was really, really funny. Hanging out with him was great. I really enjoyed his company. I follow him now, Zach, if you just start, GEOFF. Geoff Tate. Yeah, there he is. He looks like a fucking redneck with his beard. And he does have a southern accent, but he is not a redneck. He's a lefty like me, and so we got along on many levels. But his act was really funny, and we hung out a bunch. So we watched the first show, and then went back to the green room, bullshitted a little bit in between the show, ate some fairly nice takeout food, and then we chilled and drank more wine in the green room during the second show. Came through on the feed. Interesting to watch how he changed a few little bits up here and there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But really tight hour of comedy. And then we went out and fucking hit the bar. First night we went to a cigar bar, and then we went to like some local Seattle bars after that. Tom's really famous. He has he has a bodyguard that rolls with him on tour.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It didn't seem like it was his choice. It seems like the production company or whatever, the promoters make that happen. Because we snuck out and went for a walk at one point. He's like, oh, the dude would probably be fucking pissed if he knew I went for a walk. But he's more famous than I would want to be. He gets stopped.
Wow.
He gets stopped by a lot of people. Even with masks on, he gets stopped by a lot of people.
I mean, his YouTube channel of clips from the podcast that's more famous than the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's hundreds of thousands of views per video.
Yeah, no.
Just like clockwork.
And what's really funny is a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, people would stop and be like, you're on TV or you're in a movie. And then 5 years ago, people would stop and be like, you're on YouTube. Now people stop and go, you're on a podcast. That's the evolution of that
media.
Statement
Wow.
in media,
Yeah.
which is really funny. It's funny because it's podcasting and YouTube is open source. You could be on YouTube too, upload a video. There's literally nothing stopping you. You know what I mean? So it was funny, but I like Seattle. I think it's cool. Living in Venice, I'm used to that level of homelessness, which is a sad situation in Seattle right now. I hope they can figure that out It's a little rough in the downtown area. But the bars are really fun. Hannah and I played a lot of pinball. We went to the Pinball Museum. Saturday night, he had 2 shows again, but we weren't going to go like watch the 2 shows. So we hung out during the day. We went to the Museum of Pop Culture, where there's a Nirvana exhibit and a Pearl Jam exhibit and a new exhibit called Contact High on history of hip hop, visual history of hip hop.
Oh, rad.
Awesome.
Wow.
I bought the book. Everyone bought the book. Tom was fucking obsessed. And the Contact High reference is contact sheets. Do you know what a contact sheet is? Like when they used to shoot
production?
film.
Yeah.
Like they would have you'd see the whole roll of film. It's called a contact sheet.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you'd print the roll of film, you'd have to know which shots to print. So you would do what's called a contact sheet, where they cut up the roll of film and they lay it on a thing, and that way you can preview it. So they had like the most iconic images in the history of hip hop, but they had the whole contact sheet.
Whoa.
So like this shoot with like Biggie with the crown on, like the very famous photograph, they had the whole contact sheet from that shoot.
So you can see all the takes.
You see all 25 images from that
cool.
shoot, and like a bunch of other really famous, hip hop history photographs, and the contact sheets from that, which was really fucking cool, really cool. And Tom is like a hip hop connoisseur.
Yeah, huge.
So he was like fucking freaking out, and like all 7 of it was like me and Hannah, Tom and Jeff, the security guard, his manager, his tour director, and his photographer, all of whom were like ace humans. Like really, I had so much fun with them. And it's like, with a comic, you go to a theater, like all you need is a fucking mic and a stool. So it's not like there's much to it, you know what I mean? And like these guys are super pro with the logistics, and they had like everything, sorted out and all this stuff, but just mellow, nice, professional people. Every one of us bought the coffee table books. We all like they made like $300 in coffee table books just on us. Yeah, wow. See the contact sheet? That's what that is. So you see all the other images, right? Which is cool because it brings them like so much more to life.
It does. I mean, like right here they have, Biggie, and in 5 of the 6 shots that we can see on this thumbnail, he's just, looking kind of stern. And then one of them, he's just smiling.
Just being silly.
Big smile, which it's not a side of Biggie you saw much, because that's just not how his brand and image was in the music videos.
And it's like some of the iconic shots were like, Spin magazine covers or whatever, and some were like album cover shots, and then you saw the whole shit. I mean, it's really, really cool. It went all the way back to the early 80s. It's an awesome exhibit at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. And then there's also a Pearl Jam exhibit, which was great. Jimi Hendrix exhibit, a Nirvana exhibit, and then there's a whole...
Did they get mad when you jacked off in there?
The Pearl Jam exhibit was extensive, but I actually got more lost in the horror and sci-fi exhibits, which were all like movie props from horror films and sci-fi stuff. So there was like a bunch of shit from Terminator and Back to the Future and all kinds of cool stuff, Ghostbusters. Really, really enjoyed that. So there's a whole bunch of
cool.
The Thrill of Horror film, that one. The Guitar Gallery, they had a bunch of, it's exactly what it sounds like, a bunch of famous guitar players' guitars, including Woody Guthrie's like This Machine Kills Fascists guitar.
Whoa.
Very cool, very, very cool stuff. And then Hannah really wanted to go, Hannah loves pinball. And so Tom and the guys went back to the hotel. He hits the gym every day. That's like part of his quote, to quote him, how I don't end up like Bert. He's like, yeah. Bert just fucking crushes beers on tour every day. He's like, I have a routine. So he went back and went to the gym, and we went to the Pinball Museum. That's it. Pinball Museum, Seattle. I think those are in.
There we go.
There it is. And they have all these pinball machines lined up in chronological order. And you pay $20 to get in. They have a very cute pup that's there. And you pay $20 to get in, and then all the machines are free.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
So we went and played pinball for like a couple hours. really interesting to go through
It'd be cool to see how they changed over the
evolution
years.
of pinball.
Like how they got more challenging or less challenging.
They're like in the late 90s, they started to add in some elements of like 3D holograms and like this sort of like now you transition from playing pinball to like sort of a video game on the screen, and that kind of sucked. And then in the 2000s they went back to more pure pinball. So we did that for a bit, and then we ended up finding a bar because we weren't going to go watch his show twice again. So he went to the gig, we went to dinner, and then found another bar that had more pinball.
Oh, jeez.
And we played like a shitload of pinball at this bar. And now I think I need to. We found 2 machines. I'm not dumb enough to fucking say what they are, but I may have to buy a pinball machine for Hannah's next birthday. Like,
cool.
I think the one that she really liked was. As we learn, because we go outside for a minute, because it gets, it's when you're playing pinball and you're drinking and you got a mask on, you're sticking the straw, and you can't. When you're at a table, you could take your mask off, but you're wandering around. So when you're playing pinball, we're drinking, sipping under a mask and whatever. It gets a little hot in there. So
I've had the video game sweats before.
Yeah.
You get tense. You want to win. Yeah.
So we go outside and we start talking about what her favorite machine is, and we meet this guy who's got a real Seattle beard, and he's got hipster glasses on, and he's wearing a Cannondale jacket.
Okay.
And he overhears us talking about a couple qualities. He's like, "Oh, you guys talking about?" And he names the machine we're talking about, and we're like, "Yeah." And this guy knows everything about pinball. He's in a pinball league, and he's talking about the subtle nuances between one machine and another. And that machine that Hannah likes is, it's the last machine they made before this company went out of business. And you can find them on the internet, but there's the real ones, and then there's knockoffs. And we looked, and the real one is like $15,000.
Wow.
That's not happening.
That's a really expensive Xbox.
Yeah. There's other pinball machines that are, I think, I Googled my favorite pinball machines from our excursion, and a couple of my favorite ones, still expensive, but substantially more reasonable than that. It depends like how important they are to pinball culture, and then to pop culture. Like the Terminator 2 one, that's really expensive also.
I bet. Right.
But there's another one that I thought was amazing because in theory, a pinball machine should be an all ages type of device. This one had strippers on it, like all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, oh, this is the one I want. This one is good.
Normally, it's like the friendliest video game in the place.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, it's just a ball trying to have a day.
Yeah.
Just trying to, make some noise.
Yeah. You know that one that at my parents' house, the Star Trek one? So when my parents, when we moved into... I moved like 4 or 5 times growing up. One of the houses we moved into, the previous owners left a pool table and a pinball machine because they couldn't take it with them. And the pool table was not a particularly nice pool table, but it's a fucking pool table. And we actually had it refurbed, and they still have it. It's a fucking pool table.
Played on it. Works great.
It is a functional pool table. The pinball machine was from 1978. It's a Star Trek pinball machine. It's got Shatner on it. And apparently, if you Google Bally Star Trek pinball machine, apparently the machine itself is not worth very much money, but the glass, the main bit of glass is like irreplaceable and worth a lot of money. Is that it? There it is. Yep, that's it. Back glass right there. Look at that. Look at Shatner as a young, ripped Captain Kirk.
The artist was kind.
But they at the Jupiter Bar in Seattle, the second place we went, they have one. It's the only one I've ever seen outside of my folks' house.
Wow,
so we got this pinball machine for free. I grew up playing this thing, and it works. Yeah, there it is, by Bally. It's a pretty dope.
This is the International Pinball Database, by the way. They have a lot of detail.
Let's make sure we have that in the fucking file. You never know. We're gonna need to come back to this one quick.
Wow.
But so we played a lot of fucking pinball.
That's fun.
And then we met up with the boys after the show, and went to a bar. And I taught them about Sipsmith gin, and we drank a lot of Sipsmith gin. I'm on the gin and tonic train now.
Oh, gin is delicious.
I find I get a little less hungover drinking gin
Than whiskey?
than vodka or whiskey. Yeah.
I mean, gin is made from vodka's like base liquor, but then they add the botanicals and things. But whiskey, I think, does have more sugar in it, and it's brown instead of clear. Yeah.
Well, the vodkas and Diet Cokes would make me really hungover, but I think that was from all the caffeine.
Yeah, so you're just dehydrating yourself a little bit extra. Didn't you guys go to the shop?
We also, we then went to the shop for lunch, and we looked around at the shop in Seattle is, it's a car storage place, kind of like mine, but it's much more of like a club. Like they have a full restaurant and a full bar. There's a fucking barber shop in there, which is,
wow.
That might be a bridge too far, but in in that market in Seattle, it's a really cool place. If you were in Seattle and a car enthusiast, I would have a social membership there for sure at a minimum, and I'd probably end up keeping my cars somewhere like that as well. And so we went down there to poke around, had some lunch, and I'm happy to see those guys when I'm in town. But they were into it. The guys were all into it.
Changed in the last couple of years?
He kept fucking looking at this Bronco in there, and I'm like, dude, don't do it. Those are shit boxes. You're going to spend $200,000 on a car that looks great at 5 miles an hour and wants you dead. Like, and he goes, oh, look cool, though. I go, you live in Texas now. Speeds are higher there. You're not cruising down Hollywood Boulevard anymore. You're not driving down Abbot Kinney in Venice. You're on the freeway. You will die in one of those things. But he got his Cayman back from DeMann. I hooked him up with Rick DeMann, and he got the 4.5-liter engine and the shorty gear set, and he was like, exactly as expected. Dude, this is next level driving, So yeah, we were talking about cars, but he was very, very kind to Hannah and had some interesting conversations with her as well. A lot of my guy friends ignore my wife. They either just want to talk about me with cars. Like Hannah's mentioned to me before, even my guy friends that have become good friends with her in the beginning, pretty much just ignored her, which I think, is something that can happen. If you're friends with somebody and their spouse, you don't know them that well. You might not consciously. You have to consciously devote energy in the conversation to learning about that other person.
True.
Not everybody's good at it. And he is. He was very not, and I'm not even talking about being charity. Hannah's really interesting and has a lot of really interesting things to say. And so he was, even compared to some of my other better guy friends, he was incredibly attentive is the wrong word because it makes it seem like you're babysitting or something. But he was just engaged, Yeah, he was really, really interested in what she thought about stuff, and it was really interesting. And just getting a little taste of what his life is like on tour. It seems exhausting. I mean, it really seems you're only quote working 2 hours a day, but that's tough. Doing two sets a night.
That's
the
lot.
Adrenaline spikes and crashes after that. But he did two shows in a row, 3 nights in a row.
Was he really tired on after
really
the second
tired?
one?
No, he was really tired in between the two, and then had a lot of energy after the second one. It was interesting.
Wow, yeah, riding cortisol and adrenaline all the time.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. I mean, how that works.
I've come back from shoots when we would do Haggerty or drive shoots. If the shoot went well and we all had fun, if we could carry that into the night, I was amped.
Yeah.
I'll come home and talk to Sarah and be super chatty. But if there's a little bit of a lull and you can calm down a little bit, or if it's 5 days straight, then you're just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to guarantee it, but he will be in Texas while we are doing our project, and he did say that he would come to the track and review our cars, which I think if he can make, he said his schedule it's on his calendar right now. So I hope it works out. I think it would be a really fun addition to the film that we're making down there.
He doesn't need to stay all day. He just, if he has time.
No, and I said to bring the Cayman out. I said, we got the track all day.
Yeah.
Bring the fucking Cayman.
100%.
Bring your helmet, run some laps.
Yep.
See what it's about. But it was really fun, and you know, we talked a lot about cars and about comedy and industry and you know, the road and man, I hope if he ever needs a friend on the road again that I make that list. Hannah demanded to be ranked relative to his other friends that he brought on the road.
Yeah, that's
like, we
amazing.
need to know.
Yeah.
And he found out that she makes lists about everybody. And
Yes,
she was
does.
showing him the lists of people, and at the end by the end of the weekend, she had a dossier on him.
Of course.
And so she let him review his own dossier. It was very, very funny.
Yeah, no, Hannah's hilarious. She's really funny, and the lists are great. And
So
they're a good
she's got a
idea.
file going on Tom now, which was really, really funny. But he was such a good host. He was such a fucking mellow, you know, cool guy. And definitely follow Jeff Tate on Instagram as well, GeoffTate. He had a fucking real tight 20 minutes. I would definitely try and catch him when he's touring wherever in your, you know, he tours, he's a comic. And especially if you lean politically left as I do, you will find his act very funny. Because his social commentary is incredibly astute.
Cool.
So yeah, that was Seattle, and now it's back to work for what, 5 straight weeks.
We have a real aggressive month. And month meaning 30 days ish.
We are, from now until Thanksgiving, it's smashed, and then we don't have to do shit in December. We're chilling, or I don't have to do shit in December.
We're just editing something.
But
we really don't need press cars.
No, we are out of fucking press cars. Of all the press cars,
We have wrung the towel.
we have 3. Right now. There's 3 press cars and a press motorcycle here.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of fun. And I'm driving a fan car tomorrow, V8 BRZ.
Oh yeah.
So
And there's a fan car next week, that homemade Lotus 211 they were doing on Monday alongside the Audi RS7.
Right.
So they just dropped off the mach-e GT, which I'm really excited to drive. It's papaya or something, lava orange or something, but it's got a great looking stance. It's got big fucking Brembo brakes and P0 tires. I haven't moved it an inch yet. It's sitting in the driveway right now, and I'm excited. The new seats, or the upgraded seats, seem like they're a little more sculpted.
Oh, cool.
The seats are fine
too.
It does sit lower, and has painted fenders as well. The lines. I just brain farted. The seats in our regular Mach-E are fine, but they're not like anything to write home about. These seem a little more sculpted. So I'm really interested in the suspension. That's what I care about in terms of this car, because our car is great at so many things, but the ride is a little bit unrefined, which is fine. I mean, it's not. I literally wouldn't complain about it if my job wasn't to be a car critic. But the GT and the mag ride, I think, is really going to be a huge difference. More so than the power. It's got a lot more power too. But like, I don't really give a shit. It's really about the ride to me. But it's expensive. This thing is $69,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, ours is 53. So it's substantially more expensive. Now, this one has upgraded interior, upgraded brakes, upgraded suspension, a lot more power, bigger wheels and tires, painted body panels, and it's all-wheel drive, and mine is rear-wheel drive. So it's like, that's a bunch of shit. Like, I can see where the 16 grand comes from. And even like keeping it under 70, it's not offensively expensive. It's the super fast one. You know what I mean? So
I'm looking up Tesla. I'm just curious, like, what the Model Y starts.
You can get a Model Y into the 70s. If you get the dual motor performance with a bunch of options, you can get it into the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. Mach-E is comparably priced to Model Y.
Yeah,
spec
Model
for
Y
spec.
performance starts at 57.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, you add some options. Cool.
Yeah. So
I really like the Mach-E, man. I drove yours for like a day.
it's great.
It's such a good car, and I think the looks have grown on me even more. Like the profile of that's a great shaped car, and the roof, the trick roof, totally works, and it's just got a lovely shape to it.
So
it's sweet.
We'll let you know how the GT drives, but I'm significantly more excited to drive that than I was the Aston Vantage. So
Because it's a new thing.
Because it's a new thing. Yeah.
It's
Not because Fords are more exotic than Aston Martins, just because it's a new thing.
Yeah, well, the Vantage, they've done this before. They've made a Vantage that increases in its performance through the life cycle of that model, and then at the end there's a peak, and then it goes to the new one. Whereas this is like Ford's first performance EV.
Yeah. And so far, I haven't read a lot of the reviews, but I've read tweets, and they seem good. That's it. Oh, we got questions from our Patreon. Last thing before we get to the questions on our Patreon, please stop sending me trucks. I mentioned on our last cruise show that we're shopping for a truck for the shop here, and I've had more emails, not just from people who work at dealers offering to make me deals, from individuals who are just like, buy my pickup truck. We'll find a truck on our own. Thank you. There are this crazy car market that everyone has been talking about, in which it's hard to get inventory and people want all this ADM. You know where that is not applied? Mid-level work-focused trucks. Every dealer's got a bunch of them. There's regular priced. They're making deals. Inventory is just fine. We will find a truck. And a bunch of people they meant well, especially the ones who work at dealerships and offered to make me a deal. But almost everyone that offered to make me a deal, I would have had to fly thousands of miles to get the truck or have it shipped here or whatever, and that would have easily offset any discount that was being offered.
Right. You're not mad at the people. I'm
just saying I don't need it.
This is an addendum to the statement on the last podcast where you're looking for a truck. You're like, oh shit, and additionally, I will find it.
We can find it. Yeah. Yes. I don't actually need the help, but thank you very much. Okay. Questions are all applied via our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/thesmokingtirepodcast. We have 3 different membership levels. The most affordable of which, at just $3 a month, allows you access to the live stream and the ability to ask questions. You can also spend $8 a month, and you're a crew chief, and you get a total advertising-free experience. And then you can spend $10 a month, and you get early access to all the episodes. You get them right after we record them instead of Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you get a bonus 9th show, plus everything that is available with the lower tiers. All right. Most people are doing the Pro Driver. We appreciate that. It's like 90% Pro Driver,
yeah, it's
right?
Crazy. Yeah.
All right. So questions all come from our Patreon. Scott Hamill says, how has Tom Segura's opinion about supercars changed since he has now driven a lot more? I don't necessarily know if his opinion has changed. He went to Dream Racing in Vegas a couple weeks ago when they were doing shows, and he drove the 488 Ferrari and said it was really, really great. It wasn't as spaceshipy as the McLarens, but he said it felt put together a little better. But now that he did say that after driving his Demand GT 4.5 Cayman, he's like, I don't need to go faster than that. This thing's fucking bananas. And so he's really into that. And he's regretting not having more time to drive the cars.
Of course.
Yeah.
Common problem
with people who are on tour. Yep. Don't get to drive the cars. Sam H. Would you have still done the BDR on your recent camping trip if you were paying the notes on new vehicles rather than borrowing or renting? The question being, would the trails be safe enough that you wouldn't worry about damaging your own cars? I think yes.
Yeah, as long as you're in a car with decent ground clearance.
Yeah. The trails were not that difficult.
Correct.
They were washboardy, which affected me in my camper van more than it affected the Zach's pickup truck. Our friend Tim came with us in his 2006 4Runner, and he had the best driving experience, I think, of any of us.
Totally. His suspension is aftermarket, and he aired down a little bit, and I drove his truck for like 20 minutes. It was just floating over everything.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I don't think those trails are, if you have a modern SUV with some ground clearance and the right tires, I don't think those trails are dangerous at all.
I agree.
Especially, like, there's sections on the map where it's like very advanced, easier route. And we took the easier route every time. And it was mostly just dirt roads, really.
I'd say most of what we did was like Fire Road Plus with the occasional, the Powerline Road was just rocks.
That was just shitty.
But it was low ground clearance was fine. It was just shitty. And then the place where there was like kind of a riverbed that was cut out a bit where we got a little bit of lean, and I think one of your steps like contacted the dirt a little bit. That's the only place something lower than an Outback might get stuck.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was pretty good.
If you had like a Grand Cherokee or
fine.
a Raptor or a Wrangler or
even
a Defender.
Basic Wrangler.
Yeah, you would get through it just fine. Yeah, you could. Luke Taylor, I thought you spotted me wearing a watch with 4 subdials. It is not an Eric Clapton Universal Genève. It is an Icopod Hemipod chronograph, and that is a very interesting watch because it was designed by Mark Newson, who is a famous industrial designer who would go on 13 years later to design the Apple Watch. And so it is kind of the Newson's with an N, Zach. And if you type in Icopod, Ikepod.
Newson's with the what?
With an N. Oh, I thought you put an M. I thought you put an M there. Sorry. Newson, he designs furniture, he's designed shoes, he's designed all kinds of interesting shit. He just designs consumer products. And my watch is an Icopod Hemipod designed by Mark Newson. It's not insanely expensive. It is for historically significant watches, it is fairly reasonable. And I like it because it has the exact Apple Watch rubber strap, which came on this watch in 1998. And so they applied it to the Apple Watch later. But it's like 15 years before the Apple Watch. It's cool. Carlos Soldevilla. What is the best place to sell a historic race car? Online auctions, private brokers, or specialized sellers? Is it a very different marketplace than vintage cars? I've bought mine directly from the owner and plan to sell it next year after a run of historic races. 2004 996 GT3 Cup. Factory car, won its class at Daytona. I have no idea. I mean, the best place? I don't know. I mean, for very, very rare cars that you don't want to risk having if you put a car up for auction and it doesn't sell, that's bad, right? But if you sell a car privately, you never know what you would get at auction. A GT3 Cup car that won its class at Daytona is not. I mean, there's a story with that car, but it's not like it's some rare. It's not like it's from like a rare '60s Le Mans car or something like that. We're still talking about a 2004 Porsche Cup car, so it's really a recently historic, and obviously there is some value in it being a class winner at Daytona for sure, but not. It's not like. Who was it driven by? Was it driven by, somebody that is a notable, driver? Is it, or, did Hurley Haywood drive it? Who drove it? And that matters too. Or was it just some, gentleman driver that did really well? If it was a really rare car, the kind of thing that high-end collectors would be really looking for and can't find, I might call a Sirio or one of those types of guys, or call maybe like Road Scholars, that deals with vintage race cars, and see if they have a client who wants that. I'm not sure. I don't know who collects 996 GT3 Cup cars. It seems to me that type of car is not. You wouldn't buy it and put it in a museum. You'd buy it if you wanted to use it. You know what I mean? Even just with its race history.
Right. It seems a little bit too modern to be museum quality.
Right.
Yet. Maybe in 20, 30 years.
Too modern and not exotic enough.
Yeah.
And even a lot of the older 911 race cars, they're still out racing.
Right. Like
so,
the Triple K cars and stuff.
You might want to go on like racingjunk.com. it's not junk, but that's where people sell a lot of race cars, even very expensive ones. You might want to look to a platform that would feature it, whether it's like Bring a Trailer Premium or Collecting Cars or a P-Car Market that would feature it and give it a little extra promotion.
I think with anything like this, the story is so important.
Yeah.
It's who drove it, what were the circumstances they drove it, how did it do, obviously, and
what's the documentation of all that?
Was this the last generation of this kind of car? Was it a one-year kind of car? Was it so good because of a special engineering idea that was then banned the next year?
Yeah.
The story is what drives a lot of the vintage race cars.
Yeah.
That plus rarity. So you have to figure that out, and how good the story is. That's what gets written up in the auction thing. If it's RM, it's like they're going to write a very nice thing about why this is important.
I mean, there's a lot of cup cars out there. And what is the difference from one cup car to another? Nothing but the story. And how well it's, kept now.
Yeah.
Is it ready to race, or does it need a major service or something? You know what I mean? So if your story is great, I would be more inclined to put it out in the public. You know what I mean? If it's a winner, but the story's not that great, I might call Road Scholars or a company that preps track day Porsches, for vintage racing or whatever, and see if they have a client that's looking for something like that.
And Road Scholars, they know that market and they know the cars and the racing, so they might know that story or be able to help with that story.
Right. Yeah. Jake Shores.
Just thanks for answering my question.
Oh,
basically.
Yes, I'm excited to hear. Yes, Tom did take delivery. Okay, cool. Jack Martin says, what do you think the new SEMA trends will be? More and more EVs and the odd custom GR86 BRZ? Well, considering we didn't have a SEMA last year, we're going to have to combine last year's and this year's trends. I see C8 Corvettes. I think there's going to be a lot of C8 Corvettes, 86 and BRZs, Supras.
Yeah, a lot of Supras.
992 Porsches, right? Uruses. Lots of Uruses and like SUV fast crossovers.
I think we're going to continue to see overlanding, more off-road stuff, and more in the safari trend. We're going to see. We're probably going to see a continued safari trend. Yeah, BRZs. It's like we'll see if they can get people dollar cars in time for this year.
I think they probably have. I know they had a measuring session, so that's usually
for the aftermarket, right?
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll invite all the tuners to come down and let them literally take measurements of all the cars so that they can prep their parts for their SEMA builds.
Cool. Oh, they'll laser scan everything. Wow, that's rad.
Yeah, I mean, and probably new Civic is out, so it might be a little late, but there'll be new Civic stuff. Yeah. And then your standard,
like a good list.
your Mustangs, But I think C8 Corvette will probably be very dominant.
One Speedtail somewhere.
Micah Moore, if you were choosing a semi-reliable, dedicated track car platform under $40,000, what would you choose? A Mustang.
I would go SS1LE. What's it called? Camaro Z28.
Camaro Z20. Oh yeah.
Those are down under the 40s.
Yeah,
now.
you could get a 2015 Z28 for sure. You might be able to get a 1LE in that range as well, or a Mustang. A stock powertrain Mustang with great suspension and brakes.
Totally.
Yeah, that's it. Or I mean, if you're talking about a dedicated track car, I mean, $40,000 gets you a Radical. I mean, if that's what you're talking about,
true.
You know what I mean? Your track car, if it's really dedicated, does not need to be street legal.
Very good point.
It does not need to have fenders. You know what I mean? You could buy there's a million open wheel cars you could buy for that kind of money too. So consider prototype style cars like Radicals and stuff for that type of money. If
That'd
it's
be
truly a
badass.
dedicated thing, you know what I mean? Fucking $40K, you can get one of those NASCAR trucks. Easy.
True. I've heard those don't stop great on road courses.
Probably not.
Parker Kligerman. I would go, you could get a fuck ton of track-built Corvette. Something that's already modified too, with like a cage already in it.
Yeah.
Do that. Buy somebody else's track toy.
Yeah. Tyler, IS 500 Lexus versus BMW M340i daily driver. Quick pros and cons. I mean, I haven't driven the M340i this generation. I drove the last generation one. It was nice, but I think that V8 is a fabulous engine. I think that it offers an experience that is not really available elsewhere, just because of how great it sounds and how nice the response is of it when you have it in sport mode and you're using the paddles and stuff. It feels almost like a motorsport grade product, whereas the non-M BMWs don't feel remotely.
It's just a sports sedan.
Yeah. They're fast.
Yeah.
Like that 340i engine it's fast.
And I think the interior on the BMW is going to be nicer and seem a little bit more, seem modern for a longer period of time, because the Lexus one, getting into it, already feels old because it is. But that engine, like you said, they're not going to be doing that for very long. So I would, and the BMW formula is going to continue to exist.
Yeah.
So I would do the IS 500 for now. And then in 3 years, you can get in whatever BMW has made.
Yeah, I had more fun driving the IS 500 than the last non-M3 series I drove. Like if I wasn't going to get an M3, I wouldn't get the 40. I'd get, you know what I mean? I just would like get a whatever, like a 328 or whatever, 330, whatever the small one is.
They're
like,
also quick.
It's still quick enough. Like I wouldn't, if I wasn't going to go all the way, I wouldn't go at the middle. You know, I don't like middle.
Yeah.
I like
half measures.
Yeah. Riley Koppel, I got an 05 Corolla XRS with hydraulic power steering. It's great. I recently drove a 2020 Camry with electric power steering, and it's very numb. And tell me this isn't the future I have to look forward to. Well, a Camry is not the best example. I mean,
right.
if you want a car with great electric power steering, try a Porsche. You know, you can't generalize about all hydraulic power steering. You can't generalize about all electric power steering. It's not like you got in the same car. If you got in a 05 Camry and then a new Camry, you might find that those, that's a little more apples to apples comparison. And also the XRS is the sporty one. You know what I mean? It's got a sport-tuned suspension and whatever. Did you get in the TRD Camry? You know what I mean? Did you get in the sporty one of those? Like, I think...
Or try a GR86 even. I mean,
yeah,
because that's cheaper than going, getting a 992 Porsche, and which has the best steering, the best electric steering on the planet. Even just a GR86 is way, way better than most of the other systems out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think this person made a generalization using two cars that aren't the same car.
I think the future is not as bleak as you think. So if
there's cars that have good electric
totally.
steering. I've driven a bunch of them. And there's cars that have very numb electric steering. My Mach-E, which is an electric car, has very numb steering.
The Golf R was really disappointing.
Really?
Yeah.
The Mark 8 one? The new one? Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, so there you go. There are plenty of cars with great electric steering. There's plenty of cars with not so great electric steering, just like with hydraulic, Tyler says, are we getting the new M240i in? No, we are not.
We do not have it scheduled.
We have no plan for this. Hi, Matt. In the Cars episode, you talked about how your mechanic wishes he had someone young to teach. It truly sounded like a dream job. What should I do if I'm this guy but live on the East Coast? You should find someone who works on these cars on the East Coast that is looking for someone young to teach. I mean, wherever you live, as long as it's not like truly bumfuck nowhere, there will be a specialty shop or a series of specialty shops.
Yeah, a restoration shop.
That work on specialty vehicles. I am betting that story I told is not unique to my person. Now, grant, I don't know what people's budgets are. I don't know, but anything. But I wouldn't start by moving across the country to be a mechanic. That's not what I would start with. I would start by looking in your area to get your foot in the door, and then expanding your circle as needed. But if you want to make things with your hands, or if you want to run a CNC machine, or if you want to, you know, really restore things with great care, chances are there is a place near you that is looking for youth. Chances are, because it's there. We have a whole generation of people that have really been taught that that's not a good way to make a living. You know, unfortunately, I think, and it seems like maybe it's going to start swinging back the other way.
Yeah, because we still need stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing we've all learned just through conversation is that a lot of people that work with their hands make very good money, and a lot of times more money than college graduates with a whatever degree.
Yeah.
And you can learn a trade, and then you can continue to learn in that trade, and you can become a specialist. And, you know, that's how you can become the best restorer of something, or one of the most well-known engine builders, or most well-known whatever. But, like, you can just keep developing that skill.
Yeah. You have to put your time in.
Of course.
But if you go back, you could listen to the show we just did with Andrew Davidge from Vintage Electric.
Right.
You know, he's talking about if you can build things, you don't. It's not even talking about jobs at independent Porsche shops. He's saying if you can run a CNC machine, Google wants you, Apple wants you. You know.
And what's cool is, well, what I think is really cool is that if you work on stuff, you know, like if you're BBI or if you are Cam Ingram or those folks, the thing you work on with your hands, you get to watch roll out the door and see, like, that you get to visually see a confirmation that your work has done.
Yeah.
Whereas if you work in like a banking company or insurance company or just an office job, I feel like your work is much more like ethereal and kind of it's just out there. You're like, yeah, I work for this big company, and you're seeing these numbers go up and blah 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 blah. But it's not as tangible as I fix that engine and now it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a good wrench, and it's not my dream. But I understand if you could see yourself doing that, there's people who want to hire you. But I would look in your own city. Jay Dublish, have you visited the Wonderground at Porsche Santa Clarita? No, I don't go to dealerships that I don't need to go to. I heard they have a showroom that's underground.
Oh, okay.
It's like a clear floor and you can look down. Yay. Josh says, buying watches for kids. I'll wear them personally and then give them to my kids when they're adults 10 to 20 years from now. Any reason to buy anything new? Obviously, plenty of time to wait for good used examples. Is there anything I'm missing other than waiting out current market? Maybe. Just like a car. Some people like to be the first owner of something. You know, a pre-owned watch is typically going to show, if we're talking about something pre-owned and recent, it's going to show less signs of wear than a pre-owned car, you know, usually. But a brand new watch will come with a warranty, a factory warranty. Maybe that matters to you. A brand new watch, you know, will be presented to you in this beautiful box, and you know it's part of an experience to buy a brand new watch. I mean, if you care about that, the actual act of buying it can be a little more satisfying with a brand new watch. You could develop a relationship with a dealer that you may want to carry forward in your life versus buying something used. You probably will not have a relationship with that particular authorized dealer. Otherwise, no. I mean, otherwise, I've bought watches brand new, and I've bought watches lightly used, modern used watches, and once it's out on your wrist, it really doesn't matter. But if you have plenty of time to wait, you know, and you can build a relationship with an authorized dealer, and you don't need the watch until your kid turns 21, you know. You can try to buy multiple watches from one dealer, and that might help you develop a relationship that'll get you access to the new stuff, and that's kind of how the game is played. But once the watch is out and on your wrist, nobody gives a shit if it was new or used. But, you know, I don't really like to buy vintage watches because I like to the modern stuff is a little more tough, and I'm a clumsy idiot with my watches. I smash them into things. The vintage watches don't really survive that as well. But once you're out there wearing it, it doesn't matter if it was new or used. And if you're passing it on to your kid, they won't care if you got it new or used. It's really about what type of experience you want to have with the watch, while it's yours. Daniel Berman, what is a fun or unique personal luxury coupe from the 80s or 90s that could still stand up to daily driver duty in LA with some degree of reliability? Mercedes 560 SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking R32 GTR, but
that's not a personal luxury coupe. Personal luxury coupe is
nice.
a two-door luxury car that doesn't really have much of a performance behind it. Think like G-body. Back when when you could buy a two-door version of all these cars,
giant sedans for no reason.
That's why I like the 560 Mercedes. It's a real 2+. It's not even a 2+2. It's a 4-seat two-door car, proper 4-seater. I mean, R32 GTRs are certainly a car that would hold up to daily driver.
No, but I know what you're saying.
Yes. From the 80s and 90s, the 560 SEC is the shit. I mean, in LA, even a Mercedes 300 CD, the diesel one, the diesel coupe, those rule. A BMW, a very, very well-maintained BMW 8 Series, an 840, if you wanted to save money. The 840 is going to be a lot cheaper to keep running than the 850.
Yes.
Mercedes R129 SLs, like I had. I dailied a 2000 Mercedes SL.
I see a lot of those around.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're fucking durable. And the powertrains are incredibly stout. That's not what goes wrong on those cars. It's finding interior trim bits can be very expensive. Fixing the convertible top, if it breaks, can be very expensive. The engine and the gearbox are never going to die.
I think I just realized why all the ones I've seen are rocking the hardtop. Probably because the convertible broke.
Yeah, or people are just afraid to use it, and they look great with the hardtop.
They do, yeah. Very good looking car.
I mean, when I had mine, I kept the hardtop on it as much as I could, and then I took the hardtop off out of guilt that if I didn't use the top more, that it would like seize up or the hydraulics would leak. So I took it off for a while, used the whole top a bunch, and then put it back on. Getting that hardtop on and off is a bitch. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy. But yeah, R129s, 560 SEC Mercedes, BMW 8 Series, Lexus SC 400s.
Good cruiser.
400s are because they don't have a 2JZ, they're a little more relaxed. People aren't buying them to do like drift missiles and shit with them.
Very true.
Yeah. You could daily drive any one of those cars. Yeah, they'd be fine. Dan McInnes, do you ever go ham waiting on a car delivery and order a ton of parts and additions ahead of time? I'm fighting the urge right now for new interior bits on an incoming car and wheels for track tires. I haven't. I've made fun of people before for buying a bunch of aftermarket shit before the car came in. I try to avoid that.
I bought parts for my Subaru like the week after I took delivery of it, but I didn't order them beforehand.
Yeah, I
was
wouldn't.
Like, what if I don't get it?
It seems like a recipe for possible disaster.
Especially right now with like delays and supply chain stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you might end up sitting on parts for 4 months or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah. Wait till you get it and then you see what the car is really like to own and drive. You might actually not want all the parts you thought you did.
That's true as well. I think it's important to experience the car first and then decide what you actually want to change. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mr. Nailhead, did your experience with the million-mile Lexus change what or how you guys maintain your vehicles, particularly ones you intend to keep for a long time? I would say that it emphasized using factory spec shit and not the cheaper versions of stuff.
Well, what went wrong? Like, what's an example of a part that broke because it was aftermarket?
Well, it wasn't my fault, but the power steering pump in the LS400 did not use power steering fluid.
Right.
It used
automatic transmission
ATF.
Fluid. Yeah.
And power steering fluid would rot the gasket, which would then leak onto the alternator, which then killed the fucking car. And that had to be fixed a couple times because people that I lent the car out to tried to top it off with power steering fluid instead of going factory spec. And so I replaced, spark plug wires with like cheaper ones instead of like the Lexus spec ones, which were more expensive. Shit like that. And using the cheaper parts, if you really want to put miles on the car, it's going to end up costing you more down the road because you have to do it fucking again.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if it was purely that experience of that vehicle that did that, but like, I mean, I would say that between that and my experience with Donnie and maintaining the exotic cars is like you gotta go factory spec. And like with my Ferrari, and my Lamborghini, factory spec sometimes doesn't even mean factory spec. Like the oil filter on my car is supposed to be, I want to say black, but
yes.
There's a bunch of information out there that suggests factory spec, even the same brand of oil filter, is blue, but it's not. That's just one little fit that they're using now. But the inside guts of the filter are not the same. You have to use the black one, which is much, much harder to find. And Donnie had to order 5 different times oil filters because he kept thinking he was ordering the black ones because they would say factory spec, and then they would show up and they'd be fucking blue. And so that's not right. And so that if you really want to put miles on a car, you got to go with the factory spec stuff. In my Mustang project, I had more aftermarket parts. I never had Ford parts fail. If I bought a Ford brand part, it was good. Aftermarket shit, even brand name aftermarket shit, sometimes failed brand new right out of the box.
Wow.
I got a coil from a well-known company that makes coils, and the car was like missing, and the fucking dude took off this coil and put in a Ford coil, and it ran perfect.
Wow.
Remember that guy down at Huntington Beach, that dyno tuner guy who was in a shed?
Yeah.
That guy, his strategy was you can build these huge power Mustangs just using parts from other Fords. And that's what you do. You don't buy aftermarket shit out of Jegs or whatever. It's all just, you got to find the right parts from other Fords. So the factory parts are typically built to a much higher standard than aftermarket shit. Same thing with Porsche, especially Porsche. And also the factory recommended fluids. Like whatever the fucking factory says, like they know what they were doing. Just use that. So that was what we learned, yeah. I can't read what that says. Zach says, I wear a Fossil Sheldon watch. Simple monochrome day date. What would be a good sub 5K minimalist day date be for an upgrade? Minimalist. See, I don't know a lot about minimalist. There's people that really like minimalist. I don't. Day date? The only real affordable day dates I know. Oh, there you go. Breitling Premier with a day date. I like that. That one on the left there. It's not full minimalist, but I liked that Breitling Premier.
What defines as minimalist?
A dial without a whole lot of shit on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, keeping it pretty simple. Like this Breitling, for instance, has sticks for numbers instead of being full of numbers. It doesn't have a chronograph. The hands are kind of thin. It's not they don't try to fill the dial with as much stuff.
That's why I like the Weiss watch, honestly.
Weiss is great.
It's real simple.
Yeah, but they don't have that's even simpler. That's no day, no date.
True.
Yeah, field watches, these sort of military field watches are typically very minimalist, and also the Germans. Nomos is a company that makes Solios. Yeah, there's a couple. Here's an article on Man of Many. The thing is, minimalism doesn't typically intersect with a day date. You might get a date. Usually you don't even get a date. Minimalism is typically just that. See, these dials are very, very clean with not much on them.
Right.
But that if it's 5K, Breitling Premier automatic day date for $4,150. It's not like super minimal, but it's pretty minimal. And I like that. That's a good find, actually. That's a nice one. Yeah. Or if you can give up the day, Nomos really makes a nice, affordable minimalist watch. And they make a really high quality product. I'm not sure of any specific day dates that they make, but their stuff is all like $2,500 to $5,000. They have this new one, this Autobahn series that just came out. I don't know about any day dates, but these are very clean, sort of Bauhausy kind of designs, which I really like. I've held them in my hands. I've never owned one, but there's the Minimatic there, the Nomos Club. I really like a lot. I think the Club is a real quality piece. Yeah, so some of them have dates. Some have different complications, but yeah. Sorry, I don't know a specific answer there, but that should help. Is this the last one?
Yes.
Good, because we got a call in 5 minutes. Tyler M. ran Pilot Sport 4S's on my Golf R this summer, and while good on the road, it did not hold up as well as I would have liked on 2 track days. What are your preferred recommendations for a track day tire that isn't a slick? I mean, that's it. I mean, I haven't tested that many different tires, and I certainly haven't taken one car and run a bunch of different tires on it. I mean, you've got R888s, which are very sticky but very loud, and they hold up okay. When I was doing endurance racing, we would run the Bridgestone, the Potenza somethings. Yeah. I forget what it was, and that was a Miata. It was very light. A Golf R is a heavier car. It's not that heavy, but all-wheel drive. It's like, what is it? Was the pole? Was it pole position? No, what was it? What was the? I don't. RE80, something. I can appreciate why this person wants to ask this question, but the truth is, I don't have Potenza RE980 AS. Is that it? Oh, no. Potenza Sport. It's just Potenza Sport. That's the one on the right there. That's not what we were racing with. We were racing with something that's the older tire. Pole position. That's it. It was the pole position. Yeah. So we were racing on those, and we were doing endurance racing, so durability was a virtue, and it was a very lightweight car. Those tires were fine. But I've never gone out with 10 different tires on the same car. So I haven't heard a lot of people make the complaint that this person made, that the PS4S doesn't hold up.
Yeah, neither have I, honestly.
That's the first. I mean, if he was saying cups, cups are a warm-up lap, a flyer, your best lap you've ever run, and then it will slowly fall off from there. I found the PS4S to be pretty consistent when I drive it.
You got to think about, we don't know how long their track sessions were. If they did multiple sessions, because he said 2 days, right?
Yeah.
So if you did 4 to 6 sessions per day, you're talking about 10 to 12 track sessions. Like, that will toast anything.
Yeah. I mean, and if you want grip, it's the inverse of durability.
Right.
So I don't have a good answer. I'm sorry. I mean, I've heard Dunlop Dureza is a good value for a track day tire. I think those pole positions are good. The Toyo R888 is sticky and I think fairly durable. It's just really loud. That's why people don't like them on the road. Make a ton of noise.
I'm getting some Vredestein Vortis soon, but I have not driven on them, so I don't know how loud they are. Yeah. I just know that they are slightly cheaper than the PS4s.
Yeah. And I've never really done any extensive tracking with like a Pirelli Corsa on a regular car. Pirellis tend to come on the more expensive exotic cars, and in the cases I've tried them, I've never gotten to compare to another tire. It's one of the things that unless you're like literally working for like Grassroots Motorsports or Tire Rack, you don't get to try the same car on a bunch of different tires. That's actually something that like your average track day enthusiast would probably have more experiences with than someone like us.
Very true.
Because we're always, I've driven 50 different cars at Willow Springs, but I've not driven one car on 20 different tires. I literally couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, I would look for a track test by either Grassroots Motorsport or maybe Car and Driver. They do a lot of that instrumented stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe Moto IQ has a test like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our show. Thank you for sticking around. That one was a good one. We covered a lot of ground there. Thank you to Tom Segura again for having me up in Seattle. That was a really kick-ass weekend, and I need to do a lot more exercising now. I feel very guilty about how I've treated my body, eating unhealthy but delicious food at Pike Place Market and drinking lots of Sip Smith and tonic. I need to hit the gym immediately. And we are back on tomorrow. When's Forsberg?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Oh,
Wednesday.
Well, Forsberg. Chris Forsberg's here on Wednesday, and then my father, Roger Farah, will be here on Thursday, answering your business questions once more. So that's all for us today. So see you guys later.